Hey, crypto family, Bonnie here. And wow, do we have an absolutely packed week ahead of us? I'm talking about 7 major events that could literally send shockwaves through the entire crypto market. We've got Fed Chair Powell testifying not once but twice, Bitcoin futures expiring, multiple blockchain conferences happening simultaneously, and some technical analysis that's suggesting Bitcoin could hit $330,000 this cycle. Yeah, you heard that right. But before we dive into this crypto roller coaster, smash that like button if you're ready to navigate next week like a pro. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications on because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Also, quick disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my analysis and what I'm watching. Always do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. All right, let's jump right into it because there's a lot to cover, and every single one of these events could be a game changer for your portfolio. I've segmented these into 7 events. Let's go. Event number 1, Fed Chair Powell's double testimony. Starting off strong, we have Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell testifying before Congress on both Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Now, you might be thinking, Bonnie, why should I care about some old guy talking to politicians? Well, here's the thing. Powell's words literally move billions of dollars in both traditional and crypto markets. Here's what makes this particularly spicy. Just 2 days ago, Fed official Christopher Waller dropped a bombshell hint that rate cuts could come as early as July. That's next month, people. And we all know what happens to crypto when interest rates start falling. It's like rocket fuel for Bitcoin and altcoins. Currently, Bitcoin is trading around $103,000, and it's been stuck in this $100,000 to $110,000 range for the past month. But here's the technical trigger I'm watching. If Powell even hints at dovish policy or confirms Waller's July rate cut timeline, we could see Bitcoin break above that $106,000 resistance level that's been holding us back. My trading strategy for the next 24 hours? I'm watching for any hawkish language that could push Bitcoin down to that $100,000 psychological support. If we get dovish hints, I'm looking for a breakout above 106,000 with volume confirmation. The key levels to watch are 103,500 as support and 106,000 as resistance. Event number 2, the economic data tsunami. Next up, we're getting hit with a tsunami of economic data that could shake the entire financial system. Tuesday brings us US consumer confidence data, which has been a leading indicator for risk appetite. Wednesday delivers the ADP non-farm employment change. And Thursday, oh boy, Thursday is the big one. We get the official non-farm payrolls report. Now here's why this matters for crypto. The market is currently pricing in a potential July rate cut, but if these employment numbers come in too hot, it could push that timeline back to September or even later. Strong employment data typically means the Fed stays hawkish longer, which is generally bearish for risk assets like crypto. But here's the contrarian play I'm considering. Retail sentiment is currently at its most bearish since Trump's Liberation Day tariffs back in April. The bull to bear ratio has dropped to just 1.03 to 1, which historically has been a contrarian buy signal. Sometimes the best opportunities come when everyone else is scared. The technical trigger I'm watching is how Bitcoin reacts to the employment data on Thursday morning. If we get weak numbers and Bitcoin rallies above 106,000, that could be the catalyst for a move toward 110,000 or even higher. Event number 3, Bitcoin futures expiration Friday. Friday brings us Bitcoin futures expiration, and if you've been in crypto for a while, you know these days can get absolutely wild. Futures expiration often creates increased volatility as large positions get unwound and new ones are established. Here's what's particularly interesting about this expiration. We've seen declining open interest on major exchanges like Binance, which suggests traders have been deleveraging. This could actually be bullish because it means there's less downside pressure from forced liquidations. The technical setup going into Friday is crucial. We're sitting right at that $103,000 level, which has acted as both support and resistance multiple times. If we can hold above this level through the futures expiration, it could set us up for a strong move higher next week. My strategy for Friday? I'm watching for any unusual volume spikes or price action around the typical expiration times. If we see a flush down to $100,000, that could be a great buying opportunity for a bounce back to $105,000. Event number 4, the blockchain conference Bonanza. Tuesday, June 24th is absolutely insane for blockchain events. We've got ETH Milan, the Scottish Blockchain Summit, Permissionless IV, and multiple other conferences, all happening simultaneously. This isn't just coincidence. It's a coordinated effort by the industry to make a statement. What makes this particularly bullish is the timing. We're seeing institutional adoption accelerating, with BlackRock's crypto portfolio now holding over $70 billion in Bitcoin, and companies like MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet continuing their aggressive accumulation strategies. These conferences often serve as catalysts for major announcements, partnerships, and new product launches. I'm particularly watching for any news around Ethereum upgrades, Layer 2 developments, or institutional adoption announcements. The technical trigger here is sentiment-driven. If we get major positive news from any of these conferences, it could be the spark that ignites a broader rally. I'm watching social media sentiment and news flow closely on Tuesday. Event number 5, the stablecoin regulation breakthrough. This one's huge and not getting enough attention. The U.S. Senate just passed the Genius Act, creating the first federal framework for USD-pegged stablecoins. This is massive for crypto adoption because it provides regulatory clarity that institutions have been desperately waiting for. Here's why this matters for Bitcoin and the broader crypto market. Regulatory clarity typically leads to increased institutional adoption, which drives up demand and prices. We've seen this pattern play out multiple times. Clear regulations lead to institutional FOMO, which leads to price appreciation. The technical implication is that this removes a major overhang that's been weighing on crypto prices. With stablecoin regulations now clear, we could see increased capital flows into the crypto ecosystem. Event number 6, the $330,000 Bitcoin target. Now this is where things get really interesting. Multiple technical analysts are pointing to a potential Bitcoin price target of $330,000 this cycle. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but hear me out. The analysis is based on the AV/IV ratio, which compares Bitcoin's active capitalization to its total invested capital. Historically, when this ratio crosses its +3 sigma mean deviation, it signals a cycle top. In 2013, that happened around $1,200. In 2017, near $20,000. In 2021, around $69,000. Currently, the AV ratio is still below those historical peak levels, suggesting Bitcoin could climb to at least $330,000 before hitting a cycle top. That would represent a more than 200% gain from current levels. The Powell law model also supports this target, projecting Bitcoin could reach between $220,000 and $330,000 this cycle, currently trading around $104,000. Bitcoin would need a 100% to 200% surge to hit these levels, which is consistent with historical peaks. Here's the technical trigger I'm watching. If Bitcoin can break and hold above $110,000 with strong volume, it could signal the beginning of the final parabolic phase of this cycle. Event number 7, the geopolitical wildcard. Finally, we can't ignore the geopolitical situation that's been weighing on markets. Middle East tensions have been creating risk-off sentiment, with the S&P 500 futures down 1.8% and crypto showing correlation with traditional markets. However, here's the contrarian view. Historically, geopolitical tensions have actually been bullish for Bitcoin in the medium term, as it's increasingly viewed as a hedge against traditional financial system instability. The technical trigger here is watching how Bitcoin decouples from traditional risk assets. If we see Bitcoin holding strong while stocks sell off, that could signal a return to its digital gold narrative. My trading strategy for the next 24 hours. All right, let's get tactical. Based on all this analysis, here's exactly what I'm watching and how I'm positioning for the next 24 hours. First, the key levels. Support is at $103,000, with stronger support at $100,000. Resistance is at $106,000, with the next major level at $110,000. For the Powell testimony tomorrow, I'm watching for any dovish language around rate cuts. If he confirms or expands on Walla's July timeline, I expect a move toward 106,000. If he pushes back on rate cut expectations, we could see a test of 100,000. My entry strategy is simple but effective. If we get a dip to 100,000 to 101,000 on hawkish Powell comments, I'm looking to add to positions with tight stops below 99,000. If we break above 106,000 with volume, I'm targeting 108,000 to 110,000. For altcoins, I'm particularly watching Ethereum, which is currently at $2,285. If Bitcoin breaks higher, ETH could easily test $2,400 to $2,500. Solana at $135 looks ready for a move to $150 if the market turns bullish. Risk management is key. Now, I can't stress this enough. Risk management is absolutely crucial in this environment. We're seeing extreme bearish sentiment, which can be contrarian bullish, but it also means volatility is likely to remain high. I'm keeping position sizes reasonable and using stop losses religiously. The crypto market can turn on a dime, and what looks like a breakout can quickly become a fake out. The bigger picture, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, we're at a fascinating inflection point for crypto. We have regulatory clarity improving with the stablecoin bill, institutional adoption accelerating, and technical indicators suggesting we could be in the early stages of a major bull run. The fact that retail sentiment is so bearish while institutions continue accumulating is actually a classic setup for a major move higher. Smart money accumulates while retail capitulates, and then the market surprises everyone with a massive rally. What I'm watching this week. So here's my watch list for this week. Monday and Tuesday, I'm focused on Powell's testimony and any market reaction. Wednesday, I'm watching the ADP employment data and the blockchain conference news flow. Thursday is all about non-farm payrolls and how the market digests that data. Friday, I'm prepared for futures expiration volatility. Throughout the week, I'm monitoring on-chain metrics, particularly whale accumulation patterns and exchange inflows and outflows. The data showing declining OTC desk balances suggests large investors are moving coins off exchanges, which is typically bullish. Final thoughts. Look, I know this is a lot to digest, and the market can be overwhelming with so many moving parts. But that's exactly why we do this analysis, to cut through the noise and focus on what really matters. The setup for next week is absolutely loaded with potential catalysts. We could see major moves in either direction, but the technical and fundamental backdrop suggests the path of least resistance might be higher. Remember, in crypto, fortunes are made by those who can see around corners and position themselves ahead of the crowd. Right now, while everyone else is scared, might be exactly the time to be greedy. That's a wrap on today's analysis, crypto family. If this helped you prepare for next week's action, smash that like button and let me know in the comments which event you think will be the biggest market mover. Are you Team Powell testimony, Team Bitcoin futures expiration, or are you betting on some surprise news from those blockchain conferences? Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because next week is going to be absolutely wild and you don't want to miss any of the action. I'll be here every step of the way, breaking down the moves and helping you navigate this crazy crypto market. Until next time, stay safe, stay profitable, and remember, in crypto, anything can happen, but preparation is everything. See you in the next one.